We are seeing that when it comes to certainly the pedestrian fatalities, unfortunately, not a single one of them have occurred in a crosswalk while people were obeying the law. What we are seeing now is people are crossing the street outside of crosswalks, and unfortunately some are actually close to crosswalks. They just didn't use them. So when they take that responsibility of being dressed in clothing that is all dark, and it's a dark night, and they're crossing outside of a crosswalk, it's a terrible thing that happens. But we really are trying to push now that there needs to be some personal responsibility. We'd love to get this word out to everybody in the city. Just be careful. Use your head. Crosswalks are there for a reason. I'm on the road every day, and as I drive around in the city, and I can spot numerous examples where people cross against traffic. And even if they do use a crosswalk, they will cross the street when the red hand is up. So there's really only so much we can do when people are making that decision rather, to do something that is inherently dangerous. And we would certainly advise, we would appeal to everybody, please use crosswalks. Walk when it says walk. Take an extra minute. Most people seem to think in the state of Georgia that the minute they step off a sidewalk, that any vehicle coming toward them while they're in a crosswalk has to stop immediately. Well, the driver of the vehicle does not understand the intention of that person standing there, doesn't know if they're going to be crossing the crosswalk or not. So, the Georgia Criminal Code, and I want to show you that this is the 2013 edition of the Georgia Criminal Code and traffic offenses. 40-6-91 and the right-of-way and crosswalks, and obviously anybody can read this, but I'll paraphrase. It says that basically the pedestrian that's crossing that crosswalk has to be occupying half of the lane of traffic before that car has to stop, which means that the first one or two steps out into the lane of the crosswalk does not apply. The pedestrian has to be occupying half the lane so that car can see clearly that that person's in the crosswalk. So there are a couple of signs around town that says something different. The car has to immediately stop when that pedestrian steps off. That is not the way that I read 40-6-91.
So that means basically, as you're getting ready to cross in a crosswalk, you have to make sure that the roadway immediately in front of you is clear.
Exactly. And let me tell you, if you think at me as a pedestrian, going back to me having a personal responsibility issue with this, if I see a car coming at 25 or 30 miles an hour and I just immediately step off the curb thinking that car is going to stop, to me that's not one of the brightest moves. Let that car pass. If there's a gap between the next two cars and you step off in front of that curb and you occupy half the lane that the car you see in is coming towards you, then yes, by law that car has to stop, as long as that pedestrian is occupying half the lane. But just stepping off a sidewalk and hoping that car stops, that's not the best plan.